Okay. Yeah, this is Two Brothers Too Deep, everybody. As usual, Mr. Claire has insisted that we recorded this. Now, what we're talking about is very deep. Now, for your sake, and and just to put some context to this, for your sake, I'm just going to go a bit into this is deep. So get ready. Hold on to your seatbelts. Right. The universe, you that you're looking at me, Mr. Claire over there, we are one. I know you say, we've heard it. We are one, we are one, we are one. Here we go again, we are one. No, seriously, we are. We're individuations of the universe. Another word, individuations of God having different experiences. One of the best illustrations to think about is look at it as the ocean. Now think about it. The ocean, if you take a drop from the ocean and you put it in a spoon, will you be wrong in calling that ocean water that is in a spoon? Will you be wrong in calling it ocean? Mr. Clay, your input?
No.
Okay. So that means that if you take the ocean water from the ocean and it's in a spoon or in a small container, you will not be wrong to call it ocean.
Yeah.
Okay. What if that ocean water falls from that spoon and falls on the ground? And they say there's a little puddle on the floor. Will you be wrong to call that puddle on the floor ocean?
Yeah, it's still ocean water.
Still ocean water. Okay. What if it rolls from that, rolls onto a leaf? And it looks exactly like water on a leaf. And you call it, that's ocean. Will you be wrong?
Still ocean water.
Still ocean water. Okay. So it is with us and the universe. So it is with us and God. The universe is an ocean of consciousness. And you and I are just individuation of the whole. So when I call myself God, I'm not wrong. How dare you call us blasphemy? But think about it. That ocean water that is on that leaf calls itself ocean. Are you going to say, blasphemy, how dare you? Okay, let's take it one step further. What if that ocean water evaporates and it goes into the cloud and it goes back into the ocean as what? Water into the ocean.
Yeah.
All we are is we are individuations of the universe going through the circle of individuation. And when we do what we call die, all we're doing is that we're changing form, just like water changing form from the visible. When it evaporates, do you know that it becomes invisible to your eye? But when it's invisible, does it mean it's not still water? It's still water. It might be invisible to you, but it still exists as a vapor. Because later on, it now condenses and returns as water. Same with consciousness. So there will come a day when you will not see me anymore. But because you do not see me does not mean I do not exist. Two brothers too deep. There will come a day when you will not be visible anymore. Does not mean you no longer exist. And there lies the miseducation. So now when you start looking at things from this perspective, then the construct of fear starts to deconstruct. Because it now makes sense that you don't know where you came from. There was an automatic safety that got you here. Then we suddenly think that that automatic safety, which is the wisdom of the universe, is lost. No, that automatic safety is still in play 100,000,000%. And it will naturally, just as you don't have to come and go and convince ocean water to evaporate. It doesn't have to have a PhD to evaporate. It doesn't have to have understanding to evaporate. You think you have to have a PhD to go to the next phase of your consciousness? Again, like I said, when you start understanding and you start looking at things from this perspective, you start seeing fear deconstruct. Because you see, the universe is way bigger than what you've been taught. Way bigger than what you've been told. However, we live in forgetfulness. But that is the plan. That is the plan, because the plan is to come and have fun here, to experience here. Now, if you remember everything, how would you experience fear? How would you experience disappointment? So one of the tools to come and experience is to forget and to rediscover, to remember. One of the things that Conversations with God said that actually, which is very great with the words, is unbelievable. He says, remember. That means you're a member, you're rejoining. Remember. So you're a member. You're not remembering. So you're already a member. You're just remembering. Yeah. It is deep, Mr. Kaleye. So again, when you now actually now realize that, you now start looking at things from the perspective of, there are many people that I've had issues with, many people that I've cut off, many people that get even on my nerve till now. There's a knucklehead that lives close to me. Can't stand the guy. But this is where the universe is messing with me right now. But the universe will say, you know what? You know that guy that you don't like? That is you having a different experience. Oh no, don't tell me that. I wanna hate him. I can't stand him. It's true. That is you having a different experience. Okay. You know why? Because me having a different experience being him is another way of saying it's ocean water. And it is the collective ocean water that is having different experiences that collectively comes back to be part of ocean water. And those collective experiences are all very important for the unique experiences we've come to experience here in the first place. If nobody gets on my nerve, I wouldn't know that someone can get on my nerve. What an amazing job he's doing. Good to see. What an important job. Then you kind of go, whoa. Well, I kind of want to hate him though. But it's true though. He's doing a great job, you know. He's doing a great job of being an asshole. You know? And then people that have broken our heart, people that have what's the word called? So-called betrayed us. You betrayed me. You cheated on me. Well, could it be which is what is definitely in my case. That the me I am today will never emerge if that person did not do the holy work. Let me call it what it is. The holy work, HOLY, of the universe of betraying me. This is deep, Definitely. What are your thoughts, man?
It's very deep. It's very deep. So what I wanted to ask you was, so everything that we see, everything in the universe, is different expression of the same universe, and
consciousness.
From what we think are living beings to what we know that are not living beings to vapor, everything is just part of the same.
Is all expressions of the same thing, and that is where you see the universe is such an amazing technology layer. That is where vibrations, frequencies, and pulses come into play. Because when Einstein said, he said, think, when you look at the universe, think always in vibrations and frequencies. What he's saying is that everything is layered. There are frequencies that you can hear and you cannot hear, but they're there. There are frequencies you can see and there are frequencies you cannot see. As a matter of fact, the spectrum of what you can see is very limited with our eye. The frequencies, again, the reason why you can sit on the chair that you're sitting on is because you're in the same frequency. So again, when you so-called die, all that happens is that your consciousness, which is energy, starts operating on a different frequency from the frequency that you're doing now. But does that mean that you're dead? No. It just means you're no longer in this frequency to interact with this frequency. That is all it is. So now think about it.
You lose the ability to interact with this
frequency. That is it. And everything that is available in the frequency you're going, you interact with. So let me now touch a bit about heaven and hell. That myth. So if I can understand that really and truly when you evolve, you will lose the need to forgive people. You will lose the need to forgive and you replace it with understanding. If I can get to that at this stage, oh yeah, people still get on my nerves. Oh yeah, I still want to hate people. But honestly, the thought will just come to my mind and I just remember, I'm like, shit, I can't hate them now. But anyway, if I can understand that when I replace the need for forgiveness with understanding, it's like I was saying earlier on, it's like you have a child, a baby, and the baby just shit on you, shit on you badly. The baby was maybe has a running stomach, and it just over you, and you're on the 13th floor. Will you take the baby over the bag and say, or will you take the baby and you go, oh, all right, okay. That's what you say. You're like, all right, okay. You go and clean yourself. And even when people see you, and you're like, what happened to you? You say, baby shot on me. You know why everybody will say, all right, okay. And then you're walking down the street, like, why you smell like that? Oh, baby, shut up. Oh, all right. Everybody will say, all right, okay. Notice that nobody for once said, forgive the baby. Forgiveness was not needed. What was needed was understanding.
Wow.
Now think about this. So if we human beings can understand at this level that forgiveness is not needed when understanding is present, then the construct of heaven and hell completely loses its basis. Because heaven and hell is saying that you've done something that hurts God so bad that you need forgiveness. Meanwhile, if that is the case, if God needs to forgive you, that means you're saying that God doesn't understand. Or God does not have the capacity to understand. And if that's your claim, that God is so hard, and God will not see you as that baby that doesn't understand. God will not see you as that baby that doesn't remember. God does not see you as that baby that is not equipped. If that is your premise, then what you're saying is that you are far more evolved than God. Is that not what you're saying? You're saying that you're more emotionally evolved. I keep asking people, what can my children, I've got 4 children, what can my children do to me that I will put them, how long will I, okay, say my son comes in now and blows my brain out. Pow! I'm dead. But now I have the opportunity to punish him. I have the opportunity to punish him in hell for blowing out my brains. How long will I put him in hell for me to get to a point where I go, you know what, just let him get out. Just forget it. How long will it take me to satisfy my 10 years? Put him in hell for 10 years! Why? Because he blew my brains out! 100 years? 1,000 years? Mr. Clay, answer me. How long will it take you for you to forgive your son for blowing your brains out? How long? In hell!
Well, first of all, I will already be dead, right?
Yeah, but you now have the opportunity to punish him.
Oh, I'll have the opportunity to punish him.
To put him in hell. Not God now, it's you. Or you can release him. How long will you punish him to satisfy you?
Well, it depends on the relationship we have.
Yeah, okay.
If the relationship...
1 year, 10 years, 100 years of torture? 1,000 years of torture?
Well, what religion teaches is that God knew that you would be in trouble, hence why he sent his son to die for you. Well, that's what Christianity teaches anyway. So he became human and died so that he can please himself.
Okay. So again, it's the same premise. You failed, basically. Yeah? So you failed. Let's say you failed woefully. Yeah? How long would you be punished? Or would you punish whoever?
I don't know.
For you to be satisfied.
Well, when you think about children and you think that you spank them, don't you?
Mm.
And you're satisfied once the punishment is over.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not something that lasts for days or years or anything. Just
Thank you. Okay. But we're claiming that God is so hurt because he died and it's so hurt that he will put you there for eternity. The problem with that is that we're saying that God is emotionally immature, way less than us. Make that make sense. But guess what they will say? Oh, it doesn't have to make sense. You just have to believe. Get away with that bull crap. Because that's their final thing. It doesn't have to make sense. You know what? I'd rather take my chance. This is my chance that I'll take. I take my chance that God is actually far more emotionally matured than we're giving him credit for. This God is the one meant to. Do you know how big the solar system is? He's meant to keep everything in place, and then we're saying that this dog is, listen, Leo, this God is so hard that you fucked that girl. You fucked her with that Marina. You know what? Honestly, this God is sounding more like a man.
That's what I was saying. That, I was gonna say that we tend to create our own gods in our own likeness.
And our own image.
In our own image, in our own likeness.
Hey!
And that is real because we don't we think God would think like us.
And he has the same perspective at all. He has the same taste as us in this completely forgetful state that we're in.
Yeah.
So let's bring this to an end and just say that these are the things that I think about nowadays, and these are the things that I'm learning. No one is actually teaching me. One of the things that the universe is telling me is that our final authority is really us. Everything we really need to know is in us. It's not outside us. It's not in a book. All those can do is that they can spur you on to what you already know. So the real thing is the remembrance. This is not coming to earth, is not to come to learn something we don't already know. Coming to earth is to remember what we already know. And you see, again, the book Conversations with God always tells me that, look, you send this book to yourselves to remember. And one of the things he said is that we know everything already. And when I had that vision, it makes sense. I had that vision many years ago where I told you that I was everything. Now I understand that state that I was in was I was connected with my soul. That's all that was. It was as natural as air is my soul. All I did was connect with it. And the feeling was the feeling of just knowing everything from the foundation of the world to the smallest blades to the highest mountain. I just knew everything in that state. But why is that surprising? We said we're the ocean. Why is that surprising? Now, maybe that's experience, because again, one other thing that the universe is telling me and showing me is that everything that is happening perfectly. When we say coincidence, we don't even have a clue, because the technology of the universe is perfection.
Yeah.
So even as you and I may not like it, from the perspective of the universe, Bill Gates wanting to fascinate all of us is perfect.
Allegedly.
It's perfect from the perspective of the universe.
Things are exactly the way they should be.
Thank you. So our resistance to it is
It's also
perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
The ones that have gone to quickly get it, perfect. The one that don't want to get it, perfect. Because from the perspective of universe, everything is yes.
Mm. And it goes with kids as well, because you know, being having these thoughts about, oh, this will happen to my child, or this my child, I might not have the kind of relationship I would love with my child. Would they or I might build all these things for my child, and then somebody will just come and divorce him or her and take everything away, you know, and you feel like, oh, good or bad. Let's call it that, good or bad. Let's stay away from good and bad and go towards the good. Everything is the way it should be, perfectly perfect, and there's no bad, there's no good. It's just your perspective of it.
And when you get to the point where you step into that, because it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to get to the point where you're willing. Now, don't miss that word. Willing to live what we're talking about. Because there's willingness that is needed. Because you can hear it, it can make sense, it can remember, but you can still not. But when you get to the point where you're willing to stick and put everything on this, that is when you start seeing another level of reality. Because when you say that your relationship with your children, that is very important. And you can get in your head that it's perfect, but unless you're willing to really embrace it and say, you know what, it's fine. It's fine. When you actually don't get there, then you can now really relax. And you can now see the beautiful picture. One of the things I talk about nowadays with my daughter, and she's sick of it, but it is what it is. I talk about death. And one of the things that Conversations with God says is that we don't like talking about death because we don't like talking about it. And because we don't like talking about it, we don't deal with it, not only in the understanding of it, but we don't get the benefit of the understanding in it. And so really and truly, if anything, I am at a point now where I am very, very non-afraid of death. I'm still working on the manner. My first choice, funny enough, actually, the universe actually said that nothing can happen to you without you already agreeing with it. So if you have not agreed to die, then you have a near miss. That is the technology of the universe. And I think something just hit me now. And I think the reason why we don't trust the universe is because of our miseducation, and then our miseducation is fueled by our imagination. Because you see, the miseducation, once they tell you about fear, when they tell you about death, when they tell you about death is bad. Have you noticed that most people, whenever they talk about death, it's always from a negative perspective?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, conversations with God says it is the most exhilarating, freeing, amazing, mind-blowing, ecstatic experience you can have. What we call death. Everybody,
We've never seen a funeral home painting death as a, when are you tell me when you're ready to experience the most exhilarating explosive thing you've ever experienced. It's always painted as very gloom. You don't want to die. You want to go to heaven, but you don't want to die.
make that make sense.
But, so, and I guess that when it comes to death, the person that is dead, their bodies never look like it's in a stressful, they just look like they're sleeping. It's the people that are around them that looks like, oh my God.
But if you think about it, the people that are around them are fueled by imagination. Everything that they're thinking is their imagination. And
how much they're going to miss that person, or who that person was in their lives.
Well, usually what that person meant in their life was more the provision of that person.
What they were getting from that person.
Yeah. If they were not getting anything from that person, they couldn't care less.
In terms of even if it's just conversation.
Sorry?
Even if it's just conversation and...
Thank you. Even if it's just comfort. So again, what we find out is that really and truly, we...
So it's a selfish...
Sorry, we're selfish people.
It's a selfish reaction to that.
Yeah, it is. It is. And more than anything, we should just trust the universe more. That is the level I am on. I'm becoming a student of understanding and trusting the technology of the universe.
What that brings to mind is the fact that when I look at my my career track record, going forward, it looks very scary. But when you look back, you can see how things have just worked out. When you are there in each position, it looks very, very scary. The universe have pieced it together nicely. When you look back at it and say, "Oh, wow, look, I want that." If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have got that. If that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have been here. And it's kind of worked out. Beautiful the way it's worked out. When you look at it retrospectively. But when you're looking at it, when you're there and you're looking forward, is
But guess what you're looking forward with, though? Your imagination. And that is what is painting whatever you're seeing. Your imagination. Your past is your memory. Your future is your imagination. And that is where
imagination. Why should our imagination be fearful? Or why should it be?
Because the environment is fearful.
Because it's even amazing because I've been praying daily with our mom, with our mother. And our prayers are very, very depressing and fear-filled prayers.
I'm already shaking my head. Bad idea.
No. Just to hear her praise is an experience.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine her prayers are filled. I know my mother very well. Her prayers are filled with fear. She's afraid of God, but not in a reverential way. She's afraid of God in a morbid way. You know how you're afraid of a mafia don that is a ruthless killer. The God she prays to is not the God that really embraces her or she can embrace. It's a fear-based God, and that's all fueled by that. If you look at her entire life is fear-fueled. Every move she makes, oh, that is fear. That is fear. So her God is the God of the greatest fear of all fear. But this is not to judge. This is number one, to tell you how powerful imagination is. Because when you mix your imagination with your lack of understanding, it's a dangerous mix. And number two, let's look at it from the perspective. If she is not doing what she's doing, we will not be able to observe and see what it is to serve God in fear. So she's playing her role again. And that is why ultimately,
the first thing is to know that, okay, whatever that God is, I don't want to serve him.
You don't have to serve him because it doesn't exist. That's my imagination.
If it's the way you portray him to be, I want to get away with it from him as far as possible.
And that is why probably we went searching. Maybe, who knows? But the point again is that she...
and we arrived at it to say, okay, you know what? That is your perspective.
And to be honest, as far as the universe is concerned, look, she will be pleasantly surprised when the worst thing, because for mom now, the worst thing that can happen to her is death.
Oh, yeah.
That's the worst thing that can happen to her.
Well,
what else?
It's death and not being good with the God she's going to meet, right? So it's a combination of...
Okay. But what she's going to be pleasantly surprised.
So,
again, like I told you, when she comes out of this realm of forgetfulness, the universe will endow her again with remembrance. And then she'll be like, what was I? Why was I? And she will just chalk it up to, man, I was crazy, man. And she will move on to another phase. And that is why, from the perspective of the universe, everybody that is here, this is one phrase that is said in Conversations with God. He says, to be a human and to volunteer to be a human, to come and have this human experience is such a great
honor.
Thank you. And service that the universe does not require anything else from you. You are A-star, credit, all the accreditation. The fact that you just pass through here, the universe is more than impressed with you. So all this that we're doing here, feel free. But to say the guy that came to this, okay, because the question was asked in Conversations with God, and he said, but what about guys that just come to this way and they just bombs for their whole life? And Conversations with God said, but what if that bomb life was what Einstein saw that encouraged Einstein to do what you value that much. Isn't that bomb life as did not achieved everything is meant to achieve?
Mm.
Because it's meant to be a bomb so that Einstein can do what he's done.
Mm. That bomb life can inspire somebody else.
Yeah.
To say, okay, you know what an experience. Or it could even be just, I want to eradicate such existence.
People, yeah.
So it inspires me to go on a journey of
So
amassing.
from the perspective of the universe basically just looks at everybody as complete and utter successes. I know some people will not be able to take this, but if you look at it, the reason why you cannot take it is because you love competition. And the universe is not about competition. The universe is about achieving your own unique potential. Because again, competition in man is that man gives everybody the same test. But the universe doesn't give everybody the same test. The universe knows the difference between a fish and a monkey and a snake. And if you give the monkey the test of swimming with the fish, of course the fish will win. You know, maybe the snake will do well.
So you're a complete and utter success in your own right.
Just in your own right.
For just the collective good.
Sorry, mate?
For the collective good.
For the collective good. From the perspective of the universe. Don't forget, we're looking at it from the perspective of ultimate reality. That's why I say swing from it every day. Because if you just stay in ultimate reality, which is fine, you will not make sense in relative reality. Because you go to people telling me, I'm a complete success and you're a bum, they'll be looking at you like, yes, tell yourself that to sleep at they were like,
no, is he a bum? He's also lost it.
So you have to swing.
Not only is he a bum,
you get what I'm saying?
Not Dulali as well.
The balance is that will help in this relative realm, which might help somebody, is yes, ultimate reality, that's success there. In relative reality, that is living life on your own terms.
Which always goes back to the fact that, you're not in competition with anybody else. You don't have to be jealous of anybody else. You don't have to be envious of everybody else. And every time I've been envious or jealous of somebody, and let's say I eventually get what I thought they had that will become me envious,
you find that it's not much.
It always just leaves me with a sour taste in my mouth. Like, why was I even envious of this thing? This is nothing now,
It's because you forgot.
I've never been there to say, when it came to, okay, let's say the first one was, you have to go to England, that was like, if you can just make it there,
if you make it there, you've arrived.
Just, trust me, and that was a big thing that was always hanging over everybody's head. You have to make it there, you have to make it there, and our older brother used to, with the way he talks anyway, it's like heaven is here, London is here.
God bless our older brother, because he doesn't even know the impact that he had on us.
Is here, right? Heaven is here, right? London is here.
Honestly, our older brother does not know the impact he had on us, but that's the
like, why is it better than heaven? Yeah. And for a child, you're like, wow. That is gosh. You know, so it's deep. It's deep, sir. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep.
So you can continue because you know what? Let's just do this today because
because you know everything. Every time we've been envious. Every time we've been even I don't even get joy in being prideful.
there's no joy in it. There's no joy in it because it's not wise.
Or even finding something and keeping it to myself, discovering something good and keeping it to myself. And one thing I've actually realized recently is that I've had to become, because if I find something and I want people to experience what I've just experienced, the excitement and everything, and everybody just looks at it and go, yeah, it's all right, I'll be like, what can you just see there? Like, well, it's all right, and I feel like, they're not, they're
Just
not
forget
getting
it.
it,
Yes.
and I feel so disappointed and dejected. So now I've learned that, you know what, you can't force somebody to see what you're seeing. So sometimes you just have to enjoy it by yourself. Say, I see it, I know it, I'm loving it, and I'm enjoying it. If you want to share with it, it's there for you, but if you don't have to see it as well. I don't need you to see it for me to be happy for that I saw it.
And that is why I believe we're gonna have so much fun. Actually, let's do. I've changed my mind again. Let's do a two brothers before we go. And the reason why I say I want us to come from this calm place of understanding and see how that translates. Because the topic for tonight is don't play yourself. Don't play yourself. Inspired by, the people